Was hoping the bluff alone would work. It did, and they both got up quickly and scurried off to their room. I got a call from my general manager the next day asking me what had happened with these guests. He said that the girl's mom had drove to the hotel and demanded to see a manager and screamed for 15 minutes about how rude I'd been. I told my general manager what had happened and we shared a laugh. He told me that if I had any more issues to just go straight to the cops and have them escorted off the property. Then came night 3. The girl came back down to the lobby holding hands with another girl. They both made sure to hold their hands up so I could see it, and they shot me a passive-aggressive grin. I currently live up north, but I'm from the south and have a thick accent that most people immediately pick up on. I honestly believe they were trying to bait me into saying or doing something homophobic, assuming that I must be a stereotypical, hardcore Southern Christian, gay-hating Klansman or something. They stood at our local brochure cabinet and browsed while talking under their breath. Not loud enough for me to hear, but I'm sure that it was aimed at me. A few minutes later, the guy joins them, and the conversation becomes loud enough for me to hear, and it's definitely more insults thrown my way. At this point, I decided that I'd had enough. I told them they were going to need to return to their rooms, or I would have security escort them off the premises. They demanded to know why, and I told them the truth as best as I could put it. Because none of you have emotionally matured past middle school, and I won't sit here and be disrespected for a second night because you fail to understand why we can't have curse words blaring in a place of business. The girl said something along the lines of, "Did you not learn your lesson today? I guess I'll have to call my mom again." I told her to go ahead, her mom could be escorted off the property as well, and they stormed off to their room. I got a call from my general manager the next day. Mommy had been back. So he promptly ended those kids' reservations a day early. I love my GM. OP, I'm surprised that you didn't laugh in her face when she said, "I'm surprised you didn't learn your lesson today." Does she honestly think that that's a credible threat to say, "I'm gonna tell my mommy on you"? Girl, you're 20, not 2. That type of threat stopped working like 18 years ago. Our next Reddit post is from Shipping My World. Who else loves Bridezilla stories? Because boy do I have one. Buckle up because it's a long one. It includes drunken adults and minors, shoplifting, the end of at least 2 relationships, a very long visit from your friendly neighborhood police officers, a few evictions, and a ton of overtime for my employees. It was like we were the host of a live version of the Jerry Springer show last night. Needless to say, there's going to be an employee appreciation party very soon, since none of them walked out on me with all the crazy stuff that happened. I'm a front office manager at a hotel that has 132 rooms, and the wedding party that stayed with us last night had rented out 70 of them. But that's not all. We also had not 1, but 2 school sports teams in-house, renting a combined total of 30 rooms. Needless to say, our hotel was very well bursting at the seams, especially since each group wanted to be as far away from the other as possible, and we had to pack regular travelers between them all. Haha, party hardy, am I right? Hindsight is 2020, and we should have realized we were in for a poo storm 2 days ago. Bridezilla, her groom King Kong, and the wedding party of monsters all checked in then. The men checked into one of our largest suites for a bachelor party, while the women checked into another for the bachelorette party. We fully expected the men to cause a riot because they were hauling in beer literally by the keg. In reality, Bridezilla and her Bridezilla maids were the ones that went on a rampage. Not only did they tally up a total of 3 noise complaints, the 4th one gets you evicted, and over $100 worth of pantry charges, but they actually paid a group of kids $20 each to run up and down the hallways. I can only suspect it was because they meant to use the kids as a distraction from their own roughhousing. The employee on duty that night said a guest came down to report that they thought the room was being used to film a Girls Gone Wild video. But the sun eventually set, and I came in to work my morning shift the next day. I stupidly didn't see all the red flags sailing right in front of my face. Less than 15 minutes into my shift, Bridezilla's maid of honor comes down. She sees that I'm standing behind the desk and wearing a name tag, so she rightfully treats me like I'm not a human being. Because, as we all know, people that work in customer service are just robots in cheap flesh suits. Beep boop. She chews me out a little bit for my employees' despicable behavior last night towards herself and her best friends. I run through my programming and run apologize _template_012 and say, We're sorry to have made her feel disrespected and insulted, but informed her that her room had multiple noise complaints against it. We're very strict on our noise policy, ma'am, I told her. You aren't the only guest in the hotel, and if you cannot be courteous to our other guests, we will kindly ask that you seek other accommodations. Bridezilla's maid of honor didn't like that. Well, it's just my opinion, but as someone who's a part of the wedding that brought your hotel more than 60 rooms worth of business, I think you guys should be a little more lenient with the rules for us. Unfortunately, my SAS module wasn't installed at the time due to a lack of sleep. So instead of going Minnesota nice on her, I told her, we're trying to provide a consistent experience to all guests. I know you guys are throwing a party and it's a happy time for many of you, but we cannot bend on our noise policy. After that exchange, she has a list of people arriving today that she wants me to assign to specific rooms because I have to make sure certain people aren't rooming too close together. Some of them have cheated on the other ones, but they promise to behave themselves if they don't have to look at each other. Now, I may just be a simple robot that cannot consume liquid beverages, but in my opinion, I don't believe X's and alcohol mix well. The maid of honor also asked for housekeeping to come up ASAP to clean their trashed room, because they're going to use it as a prep room for the wedding. The housekeeping executive doesn't even show up for another hour, and I refuse to leave the desk to spend time cleaning their room. I told her she'd have to wait before someone came in, to which she again offered her opinion and said, I really think a hotel this big should have someone always on duty for stuff like this. By now it's 9